What's up, everyone? My name is ZayNews, and this is episode 8 of the ZayNews Podcast, where we talk about all things basketball, whether it's the NBA, college hoops, youth hoops, you name it. If it's about basketball, then we talk about it. If you like the content, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, engage with the content that we're dropping. We're going to continue to drop content weekly, talking about NBA news, you name it, whatever hot topics come up about basketball the week of, we will make sure to address them. Get a little bit analytical at times, talk about the game, talk about strategies, get a little in depth. We don't want to just talk about all this legacy content that has been overdone, overused. So make sure if you like the content, you leave a comment, ask questions. I want to make sure that we're engaging with those questions, and we build a community here. That's what it's all about. Build a community of people who love the game, who love talking about the game, who love listening about the game. Grow and expand people's knowledge, and meet some cool people along the way, hopefully. So without further ado, let's get into episode 8. And look no further for this episode than rehashing and bringing up the MVP race and the current MVP discussion, where the MVP race is at. As the season winds down, we only have about a month left of NBA basketball, a month and a half left of NBA regular season basketball before the playoffs start. So now is as good a time as any to talk about the state of the MVP race, who is leading, who I think should win it. Let's get into it. So I will be honest, I talked about this in December, end of December, right after the holidays. And my stance leading up to that point had always been winning has to begin to matter again in the MVP race. And at that point, the Denver Nuggets were maybe like a 6 seed, 7 seed, right? They may have been in the play-in at that point. Nikola Jokić, as always, was having a historical season, putting up historical numbers. And a lot of people felt like even at that point, with them being, it was definitely fifth or below seed, that he was the deserving MVP still. And I just didn't feel that way. And I haven't felt that way. I feel like winning has to begin to matter again for the MVP race, because it has mattered for so many people before them, right? Kobe, Shaq, you name it. There have been so many guys who have lost out on MVPs despite being the best or top 2-3 player in the NBA at that given moment, putting up ridiculous numbers, having historical seasons, because their teams just were not able to win enough ball games. Yes, they may have been in the playoffs, but on the lower end of the playoffs, right? And players who have had teams who were extremely productive, playing at a high level historically, have always gotten a nod in award voting like this. So why should that change now? And to be honest, it has changed a little bit in the past. Let's say 6 to 8 years, right? You had Russ winning it for being the first player since uh, name escapes me, but being one of the first players to average a triple double. You had a few other instances like that, right, where guys were like 4 or 5 seeds, but their records were so good that they ended up getting the nod on the MVP race. And I don't mind this per se in a vacuum, right? But what I mind is when you do this, um, and you have, with the legacy talk being so prominent and how much people put weight into these awards when you're having these discussions, it bothers me that there's never any contextualizing these things, right? So there's never any context when it comes to how voter um, opinion has changed, how voter thought process has changed. So you have all these crazy arguments that you hear online all the time about this guy currently being better than that guy because that guy only had one MVP or he didn't get any MVPs back then. But the criteria was different. It has clearly changed, right? So in order to hold a standard and in order to keep everybody to the same playing field, right, both historically, players from the past and players currently, I think winning has to matter because winning has always mattered. That's the point that I'm getting at. So with that being said, right, that was really just a roundabout way of me getting to the point that I held firm that I thought Shea should be the MVP this season, right, up until December, at the end of December into the new year, right? Like I was pretty sold on Shea being the MVP. He was by far the best player on the best team in the NBA. I guess you could say them in Cleveland, but they both are on pace to win about the same number of games. So you got a team in OKC who's going to win 65 games probably plus, maybe around 65 if they start sitting guys towards the end of the season. Um, with a guy who's averaging like 32 points a game on extreme production and extreme efficiency, right? That should be the guy to win MVP historically. So I feel like that's the guy who should win MVP this year. And that was my thought process leading up to about a month ago now. And the reason I say that is because we cannot lie and we cannot um, diminish what Denver has done to really get the ball rolling over there, because they did have a lot of doubts leading into the season, the first half of this season. Not to say that they don't have doubts in terms of where they'll end up in the playoff race, but they have been playing really high level basketball. They've won a lot of games, they've been ultra consistent, and that has been on the back of, with the leading guy being the Joker, right? He's averaging a triple double. He's averaging 29, 12, and 10. Historical efficiency, historical stat lines. And my thought process was always, if a guy like Joker or if a guy like Giannis, who I would say overall have better stats and are better players than Shea, were to win the MVP this season, they need to be like a top 3 seed. You know what I'm saying? They need to be at least a top 3 seed. And then I think, their dominance, the clear gap between guys like Giannis and Joker that they still have, personally, in my opinion, over the field, over the rest of the NBA, I think that would be enough to warrant one of them winning the MVP. And Joker has done that. You know what I'm saying? We cannot minimize the fact that Joker has done that. He has risen to the occasion. Though other guys have been playing well, Jamal Murray has played himself into form, and he's been playing really good basketball recently, and they seem to be clicking. But Joker has definitely spearheaded the charge, and they have been really good team. So um, it's a tough one for me now, because on one hand you have Shea, who's playing terrific basketball, averaging like 32 a game, like 32, 6 and 6, or 5 and 5, something like that. Uh, Extremely efficient. But then you got a guy just doing something that we haven't seen before from the center position in Joker, right? A guy who is averaging a triple double, averaging 29, um, 12 boards. You know what I'm saying? Being the catalyst for their offense. Offense run throughs him, right? Like, he's just a special player, and I personally think I've heard a lot of different takes on this, but I personally think that OKC has more than Denver. Is that crazy for me to say? Right, when I watched Club 520, they seem to talk about how Shea is more for his team, and I feel like the depth that OKC has, I feel like the roster that they have one of the best rosters in the league. Am I crazy for saying that? Because I don't get how you think Denver, who has allowed guys like Contavious Caldwell Pope, other role players who have been great for them, bench guys who have really helped them, especially when they were on their championship run a few years back. Right, like, a lot of these guys have left due to not being able to be paid, what have you. I feel like Denver has a pretty thin roster in comparison to OKC. So when we're talking about MVP, who's the most valuable to their team? Um, I feel like OKC would be better without Shea than Denver would be without Joker. I don't. That's not crazy to say, right? I feel like my thinking is on point there, right? Like, wouldn't you guys agree? Um, so in that sense, I'm having a hard time seeing how Joker doesn't get MVP again this year, right? Because unless they slip to like the 4 seed, which is possible, they're probably going to be 2 or 3, just because how disciplined they are. They're going to continue to win ball games and play the right way. They're going to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. So they're going to be, a top 3 seed most likely. If they do drop to a 4 seed, I don't think they could drop to a 5 seed. But if they did somehow, I think that would pull the plug on Joker's case, right? Again, I think winning has to start to matter. But right now, with them being a top 3 seed, with him playing at the level he is, with his stat line just being what it is, I feel like Joker is leading slightly. Um, But again, it's just this is a very tough debate for me because again, winning has to start to matter, and both Cleveland and OKC are on historical win paces, right? Like if they, I wouldn't be surprised if neither one of them lost another game, or if they did, maybe lost one more game, right? And they went like 20-1 for the remaining NBA season. Like both of those teams have the capability to do that. Cleveland's on a 12-game win streak right now. So these teams win games, right? They win the games that they're supposed to win. And if they do that, both teams will be at like 69 to 70 wins. How many teams have won that many games historically? Not many. You know what I'm saying? So that is something in and of itself that should be um, rewarded and should be talked about so much more than the media gives attention to. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of talk about Boston being on a historical pace, playing an historical level of basketball last year during the regular season, leading up to when they won the championship. These two teams are doing exactly that. So that should be rewarded. And when your best player is spearheading that, right, that should be acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? And not just spearheading that, like, you know, averaging 18 and 10, or you know what I'm saying, no shots thrown, excuse me you guys, if you're a basketball head you know what I'm talking about, but 32 6 and 6, right? Efficient 32. Shea scores 30. He's one of the easiest players to get 30 that I've seen, right? He just walks his way into 30 most games, you know what I'm saying? Like it's insane. So this is a tough one for me. I feel like Joker is going to get the nod, just um, based on how like the media um, has kind of approached Joker in the past, how they talk about him this year, and that's not to say it's not warranted. He is a amazing player, um, but this is a very tough debate. I think anybody who says it should surefire be one or the other um, is either a fan or just they hate the other one. This is a very tough debate. I think depending on where, ultimately, I think what the deciding factor is going to be is where Denver ends up in uh, the playoff uh, standings. So if Denver, gets back to the 2 seed, holds the 2 seed, um, I think Joker is going to have a really strong case from where they started the season to where they ended up. Starting very dicey, ending up as the 2 seed. That says a lot about Joker, the way he just plays the game the right way, and just him continuing to be the best player in the NBA. But in the same sense, you got Shea and OKC who are going to finish at least 10 games over the 2 seed, right? That's pretty ridiculous. And also having an amazing season in his own right, right? Like we cannot minimize that one bit. So this is going to go down to the wire. I think I had Shea for most of the season. I'm willing to walk that back a little bit with Denver starting to win games. And I always had that caveat there that if Denver won enough games, that I think the stats are just so astronomical from Joker that you kind of had to give him the MVP. Um, so I think it's really going to depend on where Denver ends up. OKC is going to continue to win games. They're undoubtedly going to be the number 1 seed come the end of the season, and they're on pace to have an historical win percentage, maybe like top 10 ever, I would imagine, right? If they win like 67 to 68 games. So still a lot of basketball to be played, but I would say uh, my intuition is leaning towards Joker at the moment, just because I know how the media portrays Joker. There seems to be no voter fatigue when it comes to Joker, as there have been in the past with other players. And that's not to say that he's not deserving, right? Because he most definitely is deserving of every award that he has gotten. But it just seems like there's a little bit different measuring stick when you're talking about him versus other players when it comes to the media. So should be interesting. Will this be MVP number 4 for him? That's like insane. Um, I would say he's probably at the forefront right now. Uh, I think the seeding is definitely going to matter, and it should matter. Again, winning should matter in the MVP debate. It has to start to matter again. So everybody is held to the same playing field as the greats before them. And I'll say this, man. I don't think there's no wrong answer this year. I think Shea is very deserving of that MVP. Joker too, but um, as long as winning matters at the end of the day, as long as they factor that into their decision making, the media does, then I'm okay with it. I think we'll just have to wait and see. We'll just have to wait and see. Nothing else to add there. Let's wait and see. But what I will say is my dog, Mr. Longevity. He did make his way onto the MVP rankings for I think the first time this season, the top five. LeBron, which man, can't say enough about that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact to be 40 in season 22, playing at the level he's been playing at, and trust me when I tell you, I watched dang near every Lakers game. When JJ Redick says he has been playing at a high level defensively, he is not lying. He has been playing at a high level defensively, and you get pushback on that, saying like he's not guarding the best player on the court. Um, that's okay, right? Like I think people undervalue how important it is to be in the right spot at the right times, rotating correctly, uh, you know, communicating effectively. Like that stuff goes such a long way. And just because you're not guarding on the ball, the best guy, on the opposing team, doesn't mean you aren't have your gravity isn't being felt on the defensive end of the floor. If that doesn't make sense, right? Like there's been a lot of guys who have made their money defensively off being roamers. You know what I'm saying? Roaming, causing havoc, rotating properly. A lot of bigs do that, right? Like bigs don't necessarily have to guard the best player on the court, but because they can be such good help defenders, that's where their bread is buttered. So LeBron just being a catalyst defensively, bringing the energy, has been insane to watch at 40. And honestly, the frustrating part of this is that LeBron should have so many more than six all defensive teams, and I think this is getting on a side tangent, but if you're going to criticize LeBron's career, the one area where I think you can do so is defensively because he's proven it this year, right? He's proven it this year. So if you want to make a legacy debate, here's the legacy debate to make if you were going against LeBron, and that is that he made a conscious effort at some point in his career around the time when he left Miami and went back to Cleveland to not put as much effort on the defensive end of the floor. Now, you could say it's because he had to carry so much of the burden offensively. You can say, right, this is what helped him have so much longevity by conserving his energy the way he did, as strategically as he did, right? There's arguments to be had for all of these things. But to me, the one argument that you can have on LeBron that's like um, that is a that is an X, right? That is a bad thing, is that he made a conscious effort to stop putting as much effort on the defensive end of the floor. And I think if he were to ask him that question, he would deny it. But like I think he knows, right? And he did that intentionally. So um, that's a tangent that we don't got to go too deep down. But it's fun to watch him play defense because ability wise, like that's never a question. We knew how great he could be on the defensive end of the floor, but there have been moments in his career over the past, 8-10 years, right, where it has just been kind of draining to watch because it just didn't feel like the effort was always there. Dang sure, since he's gotten on the Lakers, there have been plenty of moments post championship run in the bubble where the defensive effort has not been where it's needed to be. I'll tell you that because I've watched a lot of those games, and I think there's no denying that. But let's not take away from the good that he's doing now and the effort he's putting in now at 40, year 22, to turn back the clock and play defense at such a high level. It's been really fun to watch, and he's deserving of being on that MVP list. To be honest with you, he is very deserving. And honestly, shoot, if the Lakers get the 2 seed, where does LeBron fall? His stats aren't as crazy as these other guys, but like, I mean, with Luka still transitioning into form, getting back off the injury, LeBron has been the best player on the Lakers this season. So to be the best player at 40, year 22, if the Lakers end with a 2 seed, how much of a case does he have for MVP? Because he'll probably end up averaging 25 or 26, 8 and 6. Oh my God. We gotta really talk about that. Like, for real. If the Lakers get the 2 seed, LeBron at 40, from where the Lakers started to where they're at now, let's say the Lakers win 53 games, 52 games. Does LeBron deserve the MVP? He might. That's incredible. Oh my God. I'm not even like, I was just happy to see him on the list. I didn't even consider him actually winning it. But if the Lakers get the 2 seed, this is just as historic a season as anybody else's. No one has done this at 40, right? You just frame it a little bit differently. The history is a little bit different, but it's just as historic. You're not going to see a 40-year-old in year 22 play at this caliber again. With the defense that he's been playing, the level of defense he's been playing, I didn't even think this was a possibility, but now I'm changing my own mind. You guys let me know what you think. Is there a potential for LeBron, if the Lakers get the 2 seed, to be the MVP this season? Jeez Louise. Now I'm going against some of the stuff that I said initially. Possibly, I don't know. Maybe I'm contradicting myself. I don't know. But goodness gracious, like, how historical of a season is this that he's having? God, it'll be fun to watch. Anyways, let's move on. I talked about the MVP race long enough. Um, Lakers, we already. This is a great segue. Wanted to talk about the Lakers and the surge that they've been having. I think they went 20-23 in their last 23 games, and the 3 losses that they have. It's funny. I was looking at this, was like to, oh my goodness, they lost to Philly without any of their guys. Right, it was just Tyrese Maxey having an absolute field day on us back in like early January. We lost to then the Jazz going into the All-Star break. Right before the All-Star break, we just threw in the towel, didn't play hard, and then coming back, lost to the Hornets, where Mark Williams just went absolutely bonkers on us, and then LaMelo closed us out. Pretty rough, but it's just funny. Like, we've beaten all these teams, and you got those 3 losses on the resume. Just yucky, yucky, yucky. But 20-23 is insane. You know what I'm saying? 20-23 games is insane. So I want to pose this question: how serious are the Lakers to you guys? Because to me, I say outside of OKC, they're my next favorites to come out of the West, right? With the way that they've been defending, um, they got a few guys injured right now, still being able to win ball games. None of those injuries sound like they're long term or going to take a while to come back from. You got Austin Reeves nursing that calf. Um, you got Rui, who, so interesting because he had that. There were 2 games in a row where he got like bumped and his back just kind of went out. Um, and then finally he did something on that 3rd game, and it just was kind of like, all right, yeah, now it's time to take a little bit of a break. But you could see it kind of like progressively there. Um, so I don't think any of those things are things that'll, have them out for too long. And when they're fully loaded, they've shown that they can play their butts off, they can defend their butts off. Um, and goodness gracious, I mean, just having LeBron as your outlet on a Luka double team, and the guy making reads with 2 men down, playing 4-on-3 is just insane. And not only that, like Austin Reeves as well. Like, Austin Reeves is an underrated decision maker. He is so good um, making plays off the catch. He's so good making plays when the defending team is down a man. He's so good at creating advantages out of the pick and roll, right? Like, Austin Reeves is a very high level player with the ball in his hands. Um, and I love the way Rui has been playing. I absolutely love the way Rui has been playing. He's turning into a fantastic finisher, meaning like he's simplifying the game. He's not trying to do too much. I think for a lot of his career, just trying to do too much has been kind of his downfall, where he's taking an extra dribble. He's trying to, prolong the possession and winds up with a turnover or a bad shot. He simplified it, right? If he catches it, he's shooting it. People undervalue how important of a skill that is, but it makes things so much easier on your teammates because they know what they're going to get. LeBron, Luka, Austin, they know if they kick it to Rui, that thing is going up. And it makes there be certainty in your offense, right? And that helps create chemistry because you just know what you're going to get and where you're going to get it and when you're going to get it, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But having a guy who will shoot and play off his teammate, who will play off his teammates and shoot when he has passed the ball, does wonders for your team because they're good shots, right? Luka creates two, he creates the advantage, kicks it. You're open, shoot it, right? Don't overcomplicate the game. And Rui is beginning to get so good at this, right? He's figuring out how to play well all off of all these shot creators, and it's really helping their team because he's shooting the ball at a high percentage. He's making it smart decisions, so he's not turning the ball over in situations where a shot should have been had. He's playing terrific basketball. I'm very, very proud of the work Rui's done and the growth that he has had because he's playing awesome basketball, and just simplifying the game has been great for him. If he does put the ball on the ground, it's two dribbles, one dribble pull up, two dribbles get to the rim, finishing over smaller guys, getting in the post, right? Like the game has become so simple for him with all these very highly intelligent basketball players on the floor, and I think he's only going to continue to grow in that kind of role, and he could be a very good uh, finisher, that kind of role in the NBA for a long time. Because you look at his frame, right? 6'9", probably like 245, 250, solid as a rock, good athlete, good shooter, right? Good skill set. I just like how he's making the game simple on himself. So I think the Lakers are legit, to be honest with you. I think they are legitimate to we don't know if they're going to get the 2 seed, but the second biggest threat to come out of the West is what I'll say. OKC, I think you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've just played at such a high level this season that they should be the favorites. Um, so yeah, so OKC number one, Lakers number two. I like their roster versus Denver. I like their roster versus Memphis. I like their roster versus the Warriors. Um, I like the roster versus Houston. Who else is there? You know what I'm saying? Like in the West, I like them pretty much versus everybody. OKC is a team that has a lot of depth. They can match up and play defense really well. They have guys to guard LeBron, Luka, AR. You know what I'm saying? They have length on the interior. So they do have a recipe that could really give the Lakers some trouble. And then not only that, who's guarding Shea on the Lakers, right? Like I know team defense wise, right, we've been doing a great job, right? But Shea's gonna have a good that series because in our starting lineup, maybe when Rui comes back, he stays on the bench and Dorian Finney-Smith would start out on Shea. I don't know, but that's going to be a like Shea's good enough to figure things out in a series and have a lot of success. So I think the team defense has been amazing, and I think it will go a long way. But still, right? Like there's still some areas where we could have a hard time with OKC. I think it'd be like a 7-game series between those two. To be honest with you, I think it'd be a battle, and maybe experience wins out. Who knows? But I think Lakers are a legitimate second favorite to come out of the West. That's where I would leave it at. But let me know if I'm biased because I am a fan. I'm always transparent about that. I'm a Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan. I'm a Lakers fan to the core. So y'all let me know if I'm being a little bit biased. But I definitely think that the Lakers have a legitimate shot there. Okay, that's everything for me today. I didn't want to go too long. Just recapping, we got the MVP race. I don't know if I gave a definitive answer, but I'll tell you what though, if the Lakers finish at that 2 seed, I like the idea of LeBron getting some serious consideration. Now, I don't know if he deserves it. He hasn't necessarily been playing at this level for the entire year, if we're being fully transparent. But I mean, he's been playing at a really high level. If the Lakers get that 2 seed, 26, 8, and 6, efficient as can be, shooting 40% from the three. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough sell, maybe. It's a tough sell, especially over Shea, whose team has just been winning so much all season. But give me like if they finish 2 seed, give me first team All NBA at least. Give me that at least. Come on. But it'll be fun to watch, man. I don't know. I don't know who's leading the MVP race right now. My heart says Shea. My mind says it's probably going to be Joker, especially if they finish with a 2 seed. But also, don't sleep on LeBron as that dark horse. And then Lakers really liking their chances, really liking the team they're shaping up to be. this last bit of the season, this last chunk of the season is going to be important. Still about 20 games to be played, 20 to 24 games to be played. Um, a lot of important basketball here. We want to head into the playoffs, feeling good, feeling confident, and just playing ball the right way, continuing to work out the kinks. Um, people are saying like the Lakers have one of the uh, hardest schedules remaining in the season, and I think that's a good thing, to be honest with you, because regardless of where the Lakers end up, whether it's 1 through 4, they need to work out a lot of these kinks, and they're trying to build chemistry on the fly. Right now, they've been doing a great job of doing so since Luka has gotten there. But with that being said, there's certain situations that you just can't simulate, right? And being pushed by good teams is one of those things that's hard to simulate in practice. So them playing against Boston, playing against New York in the coming weeks, right? Like all of these games are going to be, whether they win or lose, right? They're going to be very good for them and just working out the kinks and getting better. So whether or not they finish as the 4th seed or the 2 seed, I think they're going to stay within that range. And losing some games ultimately, winning or losing, but like if they have to lose some games along the way to work out some kinks that they haven't necessarily had to deal with yet, then it is what it is, right? Like you can't rush the process. Sometimes you get exposed. Sometimes you teams figure out these holes that you have, and the only way to get better at them is to expose them and then work through them. So I like where the Lakers are at. I like that the season is there's still some games to be played that matter, right? And that are going to push them, and it's only going to lead to more growth. So you guys let me know what you think. As always, I appreciate you listening. Hope you like the content. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, ask questions. Let me know what you think. Um, and more than anything, uh, let's continue to grow, baby. Let's continue to grow. Share this content if you like this content, and let's keep it going, man. If there's anything else, if there's any comments, again, drop a comment. And I wish you guys the best. This has been a fun one. I always enjoy chatting and talking about these topics. And we'll talk soon. Peace.